All right, BMW bros, rear suspension time on the E92 M3. I'm finding, I've already done the passenger side, I'm finding that this is a bit difficult to adjust on the fly, and so I want to try to set this up right if I can from the beginning. So the way that this is the way that the manual calls for, so this is a BMS MI40, which is kit specific for E92. This is the stock setup. So I ordered this from 3DM Motorsport from Barry. This is the stock 120 spring, 120 Newton per millimeter, I think it is, and the stock perch. Or when I say stock, I mean the perch that comes in the normal road and track kit. The front we have a little bit of a modified setup with a slightly different spring and camber plate setup. So the manual calls for 37 millimeters of preload. Now it's not really 37 millimeters of preload. What it is they're saying the measurement in the manual, they're saying the measurement here, so from where the spring touches to the body, so essentially from the bottom here to the top here, it needs to be 37 millimeters. Now I've set it up at a little bit lower than that, so I'm setting it up at 29 millimeters. No, 27 millimeters. So I took 10 millimeters of preload out by allowing the spring to lengthen a bit, which theoretically would lower the car. Now, the way it's set up in the rear, I'm probably going to end up bringing the front up a little bit, but I'm at the lowest setting in the front. So I got the front as, unless I take the preload completely out of the spring, I've got the shock set up with that the maximum low point. But the rear, the passenger rear, I think if I'm going to be this low in the front, I need to get a little lower in the rear. So I think I'm going to take another. This is where the guess comes in, because this binds up and really isn't very adjustable with the suspension bolted in place, and I really hate having to unbolt it. So I want to make a guess here. And I want to move this down. So let's move this down 5 millimeters. So I'm at 27 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to set this up at 21 millimeters. And then I'll know to set up the other side this way if I like the height. And so this, technically speaking, isn't the way to adjust height with an Öhlins suspension. You want to adjust height using the cup. And the advantage of having the cup, or the shock moves in and out of the cup, is that I really don't change my suspension travel when lowering. But what you'll find is you can't just use the shock to lower, because then it'll sit on the spring. And so I need to find a kind of a happy medium combination of adjusting the preload, the load on the spring, combined with lowering the shock point. And most of the lowering in the rear comes from the spring. That's why almost all coilover setups, like if you look at the Dinan setup I had in the past, we had the stock shock, which isn't adjustable, and we were able to set up height. And notice I'm all the way pretty darn close to the bottom on how low the Dinan would go. And so this setup, where I set it 10 millimeters lower than what they had suggested in the manual, is about almost the exact same height as it's within a 32nd of an inch as the way I had the Dinan set up, and I want to go a tiny bit lower. So we're going to find out if this 21 millimeter setup is going to work. And then you have this little gasket that goes here. And the thing I'm unsure about is the Öhlins suggest that we take this rubber bottom of the spring out and just put this nylon plastic bottom piece. So the spring setup is going to look like that. Hope that doesn't end up being crunchy and noisy. Now, this is the part where, I'm sure there's an exact science to this. I just don't know how to do it. And so what I did is I put a blue line on here just so I know how much I'm turning in case I'm going to be adjusting on the fly in the car. And so I lowered this 5 millimeters. So I'm going to lower the shock 5 millimeters as well. So it'll effectively change my suspension engagement point. At least that's what I'm guessing. So I'm measuring from where the cup starts to the top of this little piece here. The recommended for stock stock recommendation is 223 millimeters. Right now I'm at, so I wanted to lower it in order to be similar to the other side, so I lowered it 15 millimeters plus 5, so I'm going to lower it 20. So I want to come down to 203. Right there. And then we'll just kind of hand tighten this down here so it doesn't move around. Okay. So there's a little paper in here. There was a nut on here before, but there's a little paper on here that tells you that this part goes on the top side of the fender well. This side goes up underneath on the bottom side, like so. So we have our dust boot, we have our big washer, plastic washer that has this little metal insert inside, and so this will go up into the car. And then there are 2 washers here that guide the bolt through. It's amazing how light this is. In comparison to stock, it's probably 50% of the weight. So we will drop a little weight off the car. Okay. And then they send it with a little different screw, but they give you like a locking nut, which will go on top. And then this is our compression rebound adjustment. What did he say? He said it's like 90% rebound and 10% compression when you're adjusting. I might have that opposite, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct in that. Or we're going to run this, we're going to start at 10 clicks from full stiff. The recommendation is you go to full stiff, which is fully clockwise, and I'm going to back off 10 clicks. I'm going to do 10 clicks in the front, 10 clicks in the rear, and that's going to give me my rough setup to start with. Okay, so let's see how low this ends up being, and see if I need to take the other side apart and adjust it. But let's get the car up in the air, take the wheel off, and show you the deal. All right, let's pull the wheel off. Little Schwabing guide pins make your life a little easier. See how nice and easy that is. Don't have any nails in the tire, I don't think. Everything looks good. Okay, so I'm going to raise it up a little more. I'm going to take the 2 bolts out. Drops the lower control arm down. Looking okay here today. It has like self-healing capabilities. Okay, so there's 2 bolts. One here and one there. So a 21 and, so I think a 21 and an 18. 21 is 17. And this is the dreaded E92 bolt to mess with. So it means you got to get it back in there, which is never fun. There we go. We got the shock. We don't need a spring compressor or anything for this. It'll just pop right out. It is an 18. Thought I had that right. Do I have a leveling sensor on this side? I do. Let's do the right thing this time. I always forget to detach the headlight leveling sensor, and then I rip it out of the socket and then I'm hating life trying to fix it. So, if you didn't watch the front suspension part of the video, the reason why I'm doing this is the Dinan suspension is actually pretty darn awesome for this car, but it just doesn't have enough adjustability. So I'm doing this road and track setup where we're going to defeat the EDC. And I've had to order some custom sway bar end links. HP Autosport makes them, so they should be shipped today, so I should have them by the end of the week. This is a freaking Corvette where they make an unnecessarily long bolt here for a plastic leveling sensor. Can't wait to get this sissy Acura exhaust off the car. Got a full American racing header setup, which I'm afraid of doing because if it drones crazy and we put those headers on, I'm screwed. So there's the shock, the bolt that holds the bottom of the shock in. So it's 3 bolts, and that sucker's loose. Should be loose. Come on, let it. So I'm gonna put the car down, let me release this out of the way, and then it'll be easier to get the spring out. So I took this piece off. The center thingy just lifts right out. And there's just a few pieces of, or a few, what do you call it? These black things, little rib nuts, little screws. 2, 3, and then we gotta use the T30, I think, to get the, whatever you call that thing in the back out. That's to take this piece. You have to take this luggage net holder off. So you pull that out. And then I think the carpet's ready to come out. This car's clean, real clean. Wish I had some dry ice to dust this off. So the whole trunk's taken apart. This car doesn't have a full spare. So we pull our EDC cap off and just set it aside over here. And then we have to take this top nut off, which I think is a 22. And this will drop the shock out the bottom. Dang, I'm getting good at this game. Thinks that this isn't a strut tower capable car because it's only this top nut here. There's no top nut lock washer. And then that piece will come out after we drop the shock. So just those two. That's all we needed. All right, okay, so this is ready to come out. Pull the shock out without jacking up your fingers. There's the stock shock and bump stop. We won't reuse any of that. And we take out the spring and the collar. So this whole assembly's coming out like that. Fancy tools. Then take our spring assembly, put it in place. Oh, I forgot the bottom part. This is the part I wasn't really sure about. I just know that the car was up on stilts. It was higher than stock. So I'm gonna follow the instructions, take this, instead of putting that rubber piece underneath, the stock rubber piece, and I hope it doesn't make all kinds of noise, because it makes it sit too high. So that's going to go up in there like that. when we pull this back in place, but first I'm gonna put the shock up in place. Just holding these two washers in place. Shut that off. Take this. Come up the same way. Take this off. We don't reuse that. And that sits right in there, nice and pretty. Okay, I'm going to bring the car up so I can put a pole jack in place so I can thread the bolts back through. That's it for a rear suspension. Super easy. Hardest part is going to be getting this bolt in. So one of the key lessons, don't put this bolt in first because it'll make this clamp down and won't allow you to fit back between the bushing. The bushing that this bolt goes through. And we also got to make sure that we're guiding this into the hole here. Make sure that little rubber grommet goes in place. So that goes up like that. And you take your pole jack and you just bring it all together nice and pretty like. Pretty easy, right? Oh man, see, this one went together like butter. The last one, the other side, sometimes these E92s are a freaking nightmare, I'm telling you. Pain in the butt. Although we're not in yet, so don't count your chickens. This is the part that sucks. Nice. Considering that took me a darn near half an hour to do on the other side, although we're not in yet. So 21, the nut on the other side. Gotta make sure you tighten under load, otherwise you'll ruin the bushing. Okay. That seems pretty tight. Tight enough to get the darn thing stuck on there. That's good. I'm making better progress than yesterday. Let me clean off my rotor while I'm here. I don't have my dry ice to do my thing here. That stinks. I don't like these water spots I got all over this thing. This is no good. I don't like this pedestrian cleaning without my dry ice machine. I just don't have any ice to use. My life is forever both changed and ruined at the same time. Can no longer live without the perfection of dry ice for blowing off here. Like this funk here, I'm not gonna even be able to get. Okay, so we gotta put our top pieces on. Crap, I gotta clean my wheel off too. Bear with me. Oh crap, I knew I was gonna forget that. I knew it. God dang, how am I ever gonna clean again? This is terrible. These wheels are not the world's most fun to clean. Never have been, never will be. That's why coating them is so imperative. I think it seems a little less intense without Kyle here, doesn't it? No? He won't watch this video. We'll be fine. I'm taking this wheel off in 2 seconds when I can't reach that leveling sensor the way I think I'm about to reach it. Let's just leave one in there. Oh, it's filth under here. This is not good. I need a batch of ice. The guy in the video of the Tesla, I told him, look, it's a little dicey to use this. And then he's like, you know, you're gonna ruin your logs. I'm like, you can't salt something I just told you not to do. You know, starting like that. After I just told him not to do that. Like, you can't use my own words against me, Dumbo. I just said it 10 seconds ago. I'm just higher level. That's higher level skills. I'm able to tell if it's cross-cutting or not. Would never want Matt working on my cars. Well, my frickin' cars are nicer than yours, so I can work on them any car I want. Except for McLaren. Those are junk. Okay, let's put her on the ground and see what happens. See if something breaks. I gotta put the bolt on top. Let's go up first and get the jack out of there. See if I'm redoing this all over again, because I gotta go up 5 millimeters. We're going slammed, bro, on this setup. God dang, I'm getting jacked. I can see it in the reflection on the car. It's happening. Ooh, yeah, that's the spot. It's a little BMW bro tuck right there. I'm gonna ride dirty for a little while. Let's put this puppy on there. Look at that. No gap, bro. That's how we want it. And go all the way. Go all the way clockwise.
Soft.
No, that's full stiff.
Full stiff.
And then you come off 10 clicks from there. And so on Öhlins, Barry made this very clear to me. He said, look, it'll go like 35 clicks, but after, what do you say? After 20, it's not really doing anything. It's not doing anything. Beautiful. Now I got to deal with this side. But let's check our height. I'll do that off camera.
Oh my God. AC no top tread.
Yeah, bro. That's how you want it on a BMW. That's the way I want it. That means you gotta lower the other side. So that's a wrap, bros. All I gotta do is tighten down this side. I'm going to, I gotta take the other side apart to get that extra 5 millimeters out of the rear. And I'll check the heights on all 4 corners. We'll go get it aligned. Oh, we've also got to hook up and defeat code out EDC. So I'll have, check out Alex at Alpine MSS. Is the man, he's the guy. He's like the guy everywhere. You know, remotely code your car. And I have the MSS tune. I have their tune on the car, which is great. And then I had a mess with Servotronics with the power steering, made it more aggressive. I'm going to go back to the stock steering. I don't like the heavier steering feel, but he can tune that up for you too. So anyway, thanks for watching. BMW Dad just got a lot cooler. See you soon.